there would come a point where they have so many conventional missiles, so many drones, and it can inflict so much damage that no one can do anything about their nuclear program. That is what they were trying to do. It's an unacceptable risk, especially in the hands of a regime that's run by radical clerics.
If someone were to say, hey, look, there is an opportune moment where we can have the Ayatollah and the next top in line ranked commanders 2 through 75, and they're all going to be in the same spot, and we can take them all out at once. And there's a small one, I would go, you know what? I understand. I was seeing, obviously, the news with Iran. I was glued to the news this weekend, and then kind of checked back in. And it was amazing to see some of the narratives shift and to see the infighting. And you guys let me know if you think that this is one of those subjects where I think it's fair for people to have disagreements, and it is not a disqualifying factor. What I mean by that is, if someone believes in transitioning children, I'm not going to try and find common ground with them on anything because I believe it's evil. If someone believes in stripping you of your Second Amendment rights wholesale, I'm not going to find any common ground with them because I believe that that's evil. I don't believe that someone who thinks we should not intervene at all in Iran, I don't believe that's an evil stance. And I don't believe that someone saying there is an opportune moment right now, there's a moment in time where we can take out their leadership and mitigate a threat. I don't think that's evil either. I think that's a strategic decision. And we'll go through the finances, we'll go through the objectives, and we'll go through the bad communications from this administration, as well as the propaganda that you see online. So first, I think it's important to set this context. The objectives for this military operation have been laid out, okay? And they've been pretty clear. We're tethered to them, okay? Number one, prevent Iran from getting a nuke. Okay. Number two, destroy Iran's ballistic missile capabilities. And number three, to cripple Iran's Navy. Already done, by the way. You can check that off the list. And I watched this press conference from Marco Rubio. Full disclosure, I've been on the show a couple times. I watched the whole conference. I thought that was really, really well handled. Then I saw that the White House communications team decided to cut out the clip, or a clip, that would present it as out of context as possible. Huge misstep, and that is what everyone is discussing. So I want to show you that clip, and then I want to show you more contextual answers and ask you, before we move on with a claim truth fact check, if it changes your opinion or perspective. Here's what they put out, woefully handled.
The United States is conducting an operation to eliminate the threat of Iran's short-range ballistic missiles and the threat posed by their Navy, particularly to naval assets. That is what it is focused on doing right now, and it's doing quite successfully. I'll leave it to the Pentagon and the Department of War to discuss the tactics behind that and the progress that's being made. That is the clear objective of this mission. The second question that's been asked is, why now? Well, there's two reasons why now. The first is it was abundantly clear that if Iran came under attack by anyone, the United States or Israel or anyone, they were going to respond against the United States. The orders had been delegated down to the field commanders. It was automatic, and in fact, it bared to be true, because in fact, within an hour of the initial attack on the leadership compound, the missile forces in the south and in the north, for that matter, had already been activated to launch. In fact, those had already been pre-positioned. The third is the assessment that was made that if we stood and waited for that attack to come first before we hit them, we would suffer much higher casualties. And so the president made the very wise decision. We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces. And we knew that if we didn't preemptively go after them before they launched those attacks, we would suffer higher casualties and perhaps even higher those killed. And then we would all be here answering questions about why we knew that and didn't act.
Now, there's been criticism based on that clip, and rightfully so. Going, oh, so basically they're not our friends, Israel, and they forced our hand. We shouldn't be going to war on behalf of any other nation. A valid criticism. If that was the sole case. But it wasn't. I also think that we need to walk through that logically and go, look, if we're America, I don't think that we should be sending Israel, whatever it is, $3 to $4 billion a year. I think that Israel can handle themselves. I think there are many different vested interests in Iran not getting to the point of being a nuclear power and, frankly, being neutered. But that video shared, it reflected a position of, well, Israel was going to do it, so we had to jump in.
Right.
Across the board, you can bring up the collage. Across the board, you guys had criticisms. And I actually agree with them. I more so agree with the fact that I can't believe that that is the sole clip or the primary clip that was shared from this White House. So your criticism, by the way, of course, echoed by a lot of people out there, like Senator Mark Warner from Virginia, Democrat, jumped at the opportunity to use that and smear the Trump administration.
Let's also be clear. I've said before, I've said now, there was no imminent threat to the United States of America by the Iranians. There was a threat to Israel. We equate a threat to Israel as the equivalent of an imminent threat to the United States, then we are in uncharted territory. We have seen the goals for this operation change now, I believe, 4 or 5 times.
You know, the first time I saw that clip, I could not avert my eyes from his lips.
Let's also be clear. I've said before, I've said now, there was no imminent threat to the United States of America.
I get it. That makes sense.
Me too.
That also explains why you were out of the office.
I still don't think I get it. Like, what even is a Rumble wallet?
I mean, I know it's practical, but I just found out what Pogs meant.
Oh, PAWG.
Just used it. Booked you for a private event, Josh.
What?
Yeah, check it.
Wait. No. No.
Oh, yeah.
I do not do bar mitzvah.
Those are the rules.
I famously
Those are the
don't.
rules.
If you sign up and they can
Yes.
tip you as a creator, you have to take
That's
it.
the rule.
Yes, it is.
So I have to do it.
No.
Yeah.
No, I'm not subject.
Yeah, well, you are.
My name's on the side.
It doesn't matter.
Jews aren't fans.
You're going to do it. It's going to be great for both of you guys. You're going to love it. Thanks, guys.
You know, broadcasters, Gerald, we're not party. Could be great for nobody.
And I said with all the questions, the who, the what, the why.
No, why's on third.
Oh, I forgot. I should have known. And why? His father's a doctor.
Don't be such a... Hey, eat your matzo ball soup, huh?
That's right.
Keep it to yourself. Hey!
Told you this crowd, they're tough.
No, tough plays outfield.
That one. That one.
Download the Rumble wallet and step away from the big banking and the checking for good. No fees, no middlemen, no banks to freeze your account. Plus, it's the best way to support the creators. You love your creators, right? Download today at wallet.rumble.com.
So look, I agree with that. I know I would hate, and by the way, those who are misrepresenting, I guess I should say the premise here, are in complete agreement with the left and Democrats. I would agree with the conclusion if the premise was correct with Warner, but it's not though, and that's not the only thing that Mark. I highly recommend that you go and watch the full press conference. So let me ask you this: here's a question: if you could be convinced that Iran, and not just a nuclear Iran, but an Iran that could be, for example, immune and defend their capability of building up nuclear weapons with very clear intent as to how they would use them. If you believe that that was obviously and eventually a threat to the United States, and they were en route to that right now, where if you believe there was a threat to the United States, maybe not now, maybe a year and a half from now, but that was set in stone, not to Israel, to the United States, would that change your opinion on a military operation? That's a question, genuine question. If Iran was a threat to the United States. We'll get to whether they're a threat to the United States or not. The important part is Rubio made very clear as to why, how, and when Iran would present not as a threat to Israel, but the United States, period. Here you go. It's a long clip for context.
The purpose of this is to destroy that missile capability. Why does Iran want that ballistic missile capability? What they are trying to do and have been trying to do for a very long time is build a conventional weapons capability as a shield where it can hide behind. Meaning, there would come a point where they have so many conventional missiles, so many drones, and it can inflict so much damage that no one can do anything about their nuclear program. That is what they were trying to do. is put themselves in a place of immunity where the damage they could inflict on the region would be so high that no one can do anything about their nuclear program or their nuclear ambitions. They are producing, by some estimates, over 100 of these missiles a month. Compare that to the 6 or 7 interceptors that can be built a month. They can build 100 of these a month, not to mention the thousands of one-way attack drones that they also have. They've been doing this for a very long time, and by the way, they've been doing it under sanction. You see the attacks they're conducting right now? They're attacking airports, they're attacking hotels, they're hitting not just military bases, they're attacking our embassies directly, they're attacking facilities that have nothing to do with war or with military, and that's a weakened Iran. That's an Iran despite years of sanction. Imagine a year from now, or a year and a half from now, the capabilities they would have to inflict damage on us. It's an unacceptable risk, especially in the hands of a regime that's run by radical clerics.
The U.S. was forced to strike because of an impending Israeli action?
No, let me two things I would say. Number one is, no matter what, ultimately this operation needed to happen. That's the question of why now. But this operation needed to happen because Iran in about a year or a year and a half would cross the line of immunity, meaning they would have so many short-range missiles, so many drones, that no one could do anything about it because they could hold the whole world hostage. Look at the damage they're doing now. And this is a weakened Iran. Imagine a year from now. So that had to happen. Obviously, we were aware of Israeli intentions and understood what that would mean for us, and we had to be prepared to act as a result of it. But this had to happen no matter what.
Does that change the context? Now, you may buy it, you may not. But that was the argument that he made. It was presented as though he was making the argument, well, we had to do it because Israel, period. Let me ask this. Aurora, Colorado, I believe, the illegal immigrant apartments?
Illinois.
Yes.
Sorry, Colorado. Yeah.
Colorado. Okay. Let me give you sort of an analogy. If you knew that that was happening and they were building up basically their own system of laws, basically a black market, an entire apartment complex of MS-13 members in Aurora, Colorado. If you knew that their eventual goal was 100 or 200 to take over a municipality and you were at 5, would you stop it there? Or would you rather face them when there's 100 or 200? It's a legitimate discussion to have. But these are the kinds of decisions that have been made militarily for a very, very long time. And if it seems like I'm always more hesitant or reticent to express an opinion, for example, before the strike on the uranium enrichment facility, yeah, you're right. And the reason why is because there's information that I don't know, and I know I can't know. Remember I said I'm 50-50. I would rather that Israel do it, but I understand the bunker busters. Now, if someone came to me and said, we have the ability to carry out that strike with no loss of life and be over the ocean before anyone wakes up, I would say, well, yeah, okay, I get it. Same thing with this type of operation right now. If someone were to say, hey, look, there is an opportune moment where we can have the Ayatollah and the next top in line ranked commanders 2 through 75, and they're all going to be in the same spot, and we can take them all out at once, and there's a small one, I would go, you know what? I understand. Yeah, I think that might be a good move, but I can't know that information, and we shouldn't know that information. My opinion can be changed, change my mind specifically on military decisions because they are inherently strategic decisions. I want to reiterate this. My opinion, my moral worldview will never be changed on the value of life, abortion, transitioning children, the Second Amendment, the First Amendment. But military decisions that require closed group meetings, they're primarily based on, level of threat, opportunity, and then mitigating any loss of life or resources. And you find the intersect therein. That's how decisions like that are made. That's where I think this discussion needs to take place. And we're going to go through, by the way, some myths out there, some claims versus truth. I think it's very important to note that Iran would be the first nation ever in the history of the world to be at 60% enrichment, really to be at 40% enrichment and not build a nuclear weapon. So if we all start with Iran, we'll build a nuclear weapon if left unchecked. Okay. Should something be done about that? Is that good for the world? Is that good for the United States? Is that America first? And when do you intervene? Well, I think that if you believe you need to intervene, you go level of threat, even if it's eventual. When's the best opportunity to mitigate loss of life and resources? That's my opinion. Oh, you're still here? And you're still watching this on YouTube? You've probably noticed something is missing by now. I'm not here. That's because the Live Daily Show is now streaming exclusively on Rumble weekdays at 11 a.m. Eastern. Tune in there, where nothing is censored.